Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. We have a panel of distinguished generals with us today. General Shankar, General General Harimohan Iyer and General Ravi Shankar. I'm so sorry for mixing up the names. My apologies, sir. I have a boil in my mouth, so I'm finding it difficult to say the words. An excellent reason for me to keep quiet while I let you two generals talk about it. So, General Harimohan Iyer, I'm going to start with you. General Ravi Shankar, welcome to P Guru's channel as always. Viewers, this is going to be a regular affair. We'll give you the information in just a few days. We are setting up something. So, this is going to be a regular affair, and there's going to be one more guest joining us. That will be another troika of ex-generals who will be talking about various things. General Harimohan Iyer, see, it's not today that suddenly Pakistan finds itself that it can manipulate the narrative outside of India. Inside India, everybody knew that Op Sindoor was a roaring success, but outside, sir, my own Sambandhi, in Hindi they call it Samdiji, right? He said, "Hey, what happened? India lost." And I had to actually give a 15-minute explanation on what happened and why, what was narrated was wrong. But it is one person, and how many times? I mean, I can't go and tell each person that this is what really happened until that Austrian-based defense analyst came along, Tom Cooper, I think. People thought that it was a washout. So you are starting at a point where, thanks to, Seato, Cento, Bunto, Santo, these guys have had an into the Washington, D.C. lobbies for a long time. So be that as it may, today India finds itself, what has India done? It has found one because I don't see that name, ring a bell anywhere as a lobbyist for India. And that person has gone and had a picture taken with Trump. I'm waiting. Let me put it that way. This is the reality. I know many of you won't like it when I say the truths. There is more coming your way at 9:30 p.m. tonight with Rajiv Malhotra. Do come in for that one also. And we have a different solution than what we are saying here. General Harimohan saying, this Munir guy, हार कर भी जीतने वाले को बाजीगर कहते हैं. क्या बाजी चलाई है सर?
So, good evening and thanks for having me on your show. I wanted to speak on this for a long time, but I've been telling General Shankar that we must, analyze this. The reason because the first time I came on YouTube was in the month of April, 3rd April to be precise, and I came on Gunner Shot with General Shankar. And we spoke about Pakistan that day. And I will start with one of the questions which was asked by one of the viewers of Gunner Shot. He says, when is Pakistan going to break up? And I had remarked that day that we don't have to make any effort to break Pakistan. It will break on its own. So if you go back to the month of April, Pakistan in general and Munir in particular were in shambles. When Trump got re-elected, there was a bunch of Pakistani expats who were living in the US who claimed that they had engineered Trump's success because Trump was going to free Imran Khan and there was going to be a revolution in Pakistan. Munir was going to be thrown out. The entire government will be thrown out. Imran will come back on saddle. All this was happening from, let's say, October last year till about March of this year. Every Pakistani scribe who one can associate with was talking the same language. In fact, there was a talk which said that Munir doesn't even have faith on his own guards. There was a rumor which was going around that he, identifies who are those 6 chaps who will be issued with ammunition because he was suspicious that his own guards might kill him. If you recollect, in the month of January, February, Balochistan was on fire. You had that Jafar Express incident, and there was an incident almost every day, and they said Pakistan Army has no control over Balochistan. In the month of March, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa was on fire. Every day TTP was hitting one or the other asset of Pakistan Army, and they were literally, taking them out. And then on 15th April, Munir comes on a show of expats, makes some rousing statements. Statements like Kashmir is our jugular vein, the concept of Pakistan has to be conveyed to our succeeding generations. So, a very strong speech. And many of us who analyzed that speech said this guy is speaking in the air. So that's why I felt, if you recollect what has happened to Pakistan in general and Munir in particular, after 15th of April till today, is something worth learning from. And if you made a statement that it would appear that it was a washout, Munir in his short name has been referred as his nickname is Deceiver. So he is a master at that, and it is worth analyzing as to what he's been able to achieve in the last 5 months. So Pahalgam happens. The point in Pahalgam which I would like to emphasize is that statement which one of the terrorists made कि मोदी को जाके बताओ.
Yes.
That was, in my mind, a deliberate push to tip India over the rope, if I was to use, or over the edge. And it did succeed, because if you look at the day when Pahalgam happened, Prime Minister Modi was in Saudi Arabia. He was being conferred with one of the highest honor of Saudi Arabia. The talk which was going on was that India, Saudi Arabia is going to ink a major agreement as part of the IMEC. Pakistan is going to get isolated because its only source of support in the Middle East is going to go away. And what happens? Modi cuts down his trip, comes back, goes straight to Bihar and makes a very, I would call it a political speech. And he says that the perpetrators of Pahalgam will be, hounded out and taken care of. What happens in the next 10 days, whether it was Munir's effect or the opposition effect, you had politicians coming with, toys of Rafale jets with lemons and, chilies hung around it, and they kept taunting the Prime Minister as to what is he going to do about Pahalgam. And there was a time when I was again with General Shankar's channel, when we were discussing options for India at that time. And we had very clearly said that this is not the time to go for a full-scale war, because this is not appropriate with the monsoons coming in, standing crops in Punjab and the plains. Not the time. So we went in, we did Operation Sindoor. And we did Operation Sindoor, and our information kept focusing on our domestic audience. Munir latched on to it and turned the searchlight towards the international audience. And that is where the whole thing turned. People forgot the precision at which terror camps and terror infrastructure was targeted by India on the 6th, 7th night. But they've latched on to the narrative that Pakistan has shot down X number of Indian aircrafts, for which they didn't have any proof or any value, there was no evidence. But it was so beautifully spun by Munir and his gang that not only the international media, but the entire Pakistani nation bought it. And this is again my belief that Pakistan can be, brought together only when one takes him into a war with India. The moment the war clouds with India comes around, the entire nation rallies together, unlike India. And that is what has happened. Today, whether it's their cricket team, whether it's their hockey team, whether it's a band playing concert anywhere in the world, they start putting out the Pakistan Army ISPR's narrative that they won. The Chief of Army Staff becomes a Field Marshal. And to add spice to it, he gets invited to the White House. And thereafter, the narrative which has happened is India is now seen to be as having lost out its its friendship with the United States. The last 3 months, if you look at activities that have happened, whether it was tariffs being applied, whether it was visas issues, or in general, because a narrative that the potential conflict between India and Pakistan has been stopped by President Trump, who was actually looking for something like that at that stage. He has totally leaned towards Pakistan thereafter. And Munir has pledged Balochistan to the Americans for exploration of rare earth mineral. I don't think it is there. Or gas and oil. Again, I don't know when that's going to be explored and taken out by the Americans. But what has happened is, if you see, the US declared the BLA as a terrorist organization. And the last 3 months, Balochistan has suddenly gone into a freezer. If you look at what was happening from January to March and compare with what is happening from April onwards, there are two vertically opposite sides of the spectrum. And therefore, if you was to put everything together and analyze, failed Marshal Asim Munir, the deceiver, has managed to fool not only his own nation, but the entire world body by conveying a fact that Pakistan is the nation they have to back. And a democratically elected government of a very old democracy, which the Americans say is the oldest democracy, is suddenly finding itself on the sidelines. But a remotely controlled nation by a uniformed person is suddenly become the man to go to for the Americans. So the whole thing has changed. Nobody is talking about Imran Khan anymore. People have forgotten that he's in jail. People have forgotten that there was an election which was stolen in Pakistan. People have forgotten that this nation is the hub of terrorism where people like Osama bin Laden was found. People have forgotten that they are China's lab baby. They are the ones which were giving China access to the warm water seas of Arabian Sea. Everything has been forgotten conveniently, and suddenly they have become the people to go to. And Asim Munir, as I look at it, finds himself in the saddle today of a horse which is riding at huge pace. It's a turnaround which needs to be looked at. And I personally feel, if I was to look at what happened pre-Pahalgam and post-Pahalgam, the one man and the one organization which gained the most is Field Marshal Asim Munir and the army of Pakistan, which has suddenly become the happy boys for the Americans and the world order. And that is why I personally felt we should talk about it, because it's staring us on the face. Thank you.
Thank you so much, General Harimohan Iyer. And before I yield the floor to General Ravi Shankar, this is something that I have not revealed before. I want to tell something from my heart. About 18 months ago, India realized that it was losing its narrative war. And they deputed the person from New Delhi who's responsible for making sure that India's side and the truth is put out there in foreign media. People like me who's in the media, we gave our inputs. Then nothing has happened. Then I tried to find out what happened. And this person goes back to New Delhi and is transferred. Sir, this is the reality in India. I'm also told 6 months before the coup in Bangladesh, 2 Bangladesh experts in India were deliberately transferred out. And the people who took their place couldn't even speak Bengali. The 2 people who are manning those 2 desks were experts in every variation of Bengali that we can think of, whether it is in West Bengal or in Bangladesh or any other part where Bengali is spoken. And these should have been signs to India that somebody is moving the pieces. Anyway, I'll just stop it at that point. General Ravi Shankar, let's get back to the original question. I'd like to take you back to May 10th or 11th, that around that time when the pause on operations was announced, that evening, you and I think General Rajiv Malhotra and probably General Dushyant Singh were there and P Gurus, and I had asked you the question: did India stop when they were having Pakistan, when they were having their foot at the neck of Pakistan? Because you saw afterwards the Navy coming out and saying that we did not get a chance to show them what we are and so on. If there was one place where India had said, okay, we have occupied this small area and we have recognized the government there, see, this whole narrative would have fallen flat. I'm just, of course, doing Monday morning quarterbacking, as they say in US, which means after the fact trying to justify something. So you remember, sir, you all three of you said more or less like the objectives have been fulfilled and therefore we stop, or something to that effect. Given what has happened after that, would you like to tell us what you think is happening and how India needs to do course correction now?
That's a big ask. Okay, let's, what General Harimohan said is a fundamental thing. And there's no doubt that Asim Munir and Pakistan have benefited out of Op Sindoor. I'm making this statement very deliberately. And I made this statement before Op Sindoor started. In many of my podcasts, I used to say, this is not the time for war. We shouldn't go into Pakistan in a hurry. We should not take up arms with Pakistan in a hurry. If you do take up arms with Pakistan, you should go with a very clear-cut idea as to what you want to do. Okay. And this is because, and I kept saying this, this is where probably I would say we went wrong. We should know what we are doing. No, Pakistan, every military defeat of Pakistan is a victory for the Pakistan army. This is history. They lost half the nation. It can't be worse that you lost half the nation. You had to go down on your knees to get 93,000 prisoners of war back. And despite all that, the military became stronger, came back with 3 coups in succession over a period of time, including hanging Bhutto. 65 also, same thing happened. What happened after 65? Ayub Khan was taken out, Yahya came in. That's all. What happened after Kargil? Kargil also was a loss. What happened after that? So, what we didn't really learn from history, and this is something which I had spoken, that the danger of going to a war with Pakistan is that Pakistan will emerge stronger. Not Pakistan will emerge stronger, the Pakistan establishment will emerge stronger. We have to ensure when you deal with Pakistan that the army gets hurt, the army gets disgraced, and the army loses its confidence. If you can't do that, don't fight them. You have to ensure that you have to do something political to ensure that the army has no locus standi. And this is what we did when we scrapped Article 370. The army was on the sidelines, it could do nothing. It became a laughing stock in Pakistan. It recovered with terrorist attacks and all. That's all it can do. And terrorism is a tool for Pakistan to keep itself in the limelight and gain from the public. Okay? Forget about how Pakistan looked outside. On the day of Pahalgam attack, or before Op Sindoor, not even after the day of Pahalgam attack, Pakistan army was a discredited army in Pakistan. How was it that your attack made them credited all over? How did you allow it? This is something which I have spoken of. I have no doubt about it. And I spoke of it before also. A lot of people during Op Sindoor asked me this question. Sir, you're talking like this. Before this, you said we shouldn't go to war. Well, we have gone to war, right? That was not in my hand. I have to support that war. I spoke. And as far as the military issues were concerned, absolutely perfect. Okay. What we had to do, absolutely perfect. Exit strategy for this war was absolutely perfect. What we didn't foresee was the fact what is the political outcome of this war? What is the information or the strategic outcome out of this war? Strategic communication outcome of this war. So, to that extent, I thought we went in too early. We could have done this differently. We could have done this later. We could have done this with a better plan. I think the focus was more on those hitting the Pakistan army and more of a thing than the political outcomes. I think if at all we have to do anything against Pakistan hereafter, we shouldn't bother about what the army does, the Air Force does, or the Navy does. If we have Op Sindoor 2, we'll lose it. I'm telling you now. Our men will win. They might shed blood, we'll win. But we'll lose it politically if you don't have a political plan. The political plan is most important. See, you go back into 71. What was the political plan? What was the political outcome we sought? The political outcome we sought from in 71 was that it's not dismemberment of Pakistan. That's how we didn't go. We went in to ensure that all the Bangladeshis go back, the atrocities of the Pakistan army, the genocide which is being carried out is recognized by the international community, and Pakistan army is shamed internationally. When that was achieved, everything collapsed. Okay? Same thing in Op Vijay. What we did, Pakistan army didn't have a face to look for a long time. But the fact that it did a coup, it took a long time to come back, it came back. So, whatever we have to do now, we have to do political. And where is that political opportunity today? The political opportunity is there. It's there in Balochistan, it's there in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it's there in POK. It's there in the Indus Water Treaty, which I thought was a fantastic option.
That's absolutely.
The Indus Water Treaty abrogation was one of the best options we had, and we just had to follow it through. And announce plans A, B, C, D, E. You do something, then we'll show you. You start outreach to J&K. Even today, you don't have to fight Pakistan. You can break Pakistan into pieces by just political action. And this is something which I explained. I explained something called the hammer and anvil strategy in one of my things. The hammer would be the armed forces.
It was on P Gurus.
Yeah.
Yes.
I explained. The hammer would be the armed forces. Show the hammer. And that's the anvil. The hammer will be Balochistan, TTP and POK and Indus Water Treaty. These were the hammers you had. The anvil was the armed forces. And you could have done a few things in the process of that. We allowed Pakistan to focus on India. We should have made sure that Pakistan focuses out. Somewhere else. And if we have to go ahead, this is my strategy still. The last thing you use is your armed forces in this story with Pakistan. And this is something which this is the biggest lesson as far as I'm concerned. Look, as far as Asim Munir is concerned, now he's hit the dead end of what he could achieve. Okay, all what he has been able to achieve, he's achieved. And what he's achieved is political, not political, it is, military. He's made money, he's gone good with USA, he's gone good with Saudi Arabia, he's gone good with China. But this is the point of overstretch he is in. He's reached the culmination point. Right? From here on, we have to engineer his failure in a different manner. Not with your danda, with your akal. You have to outmaneuver him with your brains. And the four factors or lines of approach are still the same. There's no difference. But you have an additional factor. And that additional factor is the Saudi deal. The Saudi deal stretches Pakistan. That is something which you can hit. How we can hit, we'll see later. And you also have an opening with China. You also have an opening with China and the CPEC. Because today, China has started talking border. Politically, start the talk with border. Part of the border. See, again, I find it very funny. And I'm very critical of my government here. We've said all issues of the border in this recent dialogue with China. Have you said all issues of the border and Pahalgam Valley and POK? You put that and the kids will come out here. And China will also start. So our thinking has to change in the way we handle these things. I'm being very deliberate about it. I have absolutely, our armed forces, our political establishment, Mr. Modi, and the Raksha Mantri have done a tremendous job in Op Sindhu. Full marks to them the way they prosecuted Op Sindhu. For what they framed, they got the outcomes, 100%. But could the outcomes could the framing would have been different? The outcomes would have been out of proportion. There's my views.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to pick up on what you said. Let's go back to Modi's visit to the White House in the presence of Trump. And Trump makes a statement that as far as Bangladesh is concerned, you take care of it. Sir, I'm putting myself in Modi's shoes. I would have gone to that trip with something in my back pocket about how I would like to deal with Bangladesh. In a matter of hours, India airlifted Sheikh Hasina. As soon as this statement was uttered, I would have frog marched that rascal out of the wherever he is sitting and trying to administer. He's actually not an elected official. And I would have placed Sheikh Hasina back there. This is the reality. Now, get back and do the right thing. That message would have been, because there was just no time given. You should have not given any time. How hard would that have been for India? Why did India not do that? I want to ask this question to General Harimohan Iyer. Sir.
I am also lost for words the way we handled Bangladesh, especially. Actually, I guess we were taken out a little by surprise because there has been a degree of unrest in Bangladesh, but we felt that the army in Bangladesh was well in control of the situation. And to a large extent, I guess the conversation with the Bangladesh Chief of Army Staff was open and is still open. And that is one place where you find there's a degree of balance as far as India is concerned. But we did miscalculate the degree of interference by the deep state, if I was to use the word, because the placement of this gentleman, I will refrain using his name, surreptitiously by a body, and he is now almost a year into control of the nation. And what all deals he's making is today making it that much more difficult to resolve this issue. I guess by the time Modi was in United States and he was told to possibly take care of Bangladesh, as you say, I think the thing had gone way beyond us. And I have also a feeling when I look at Prime Minister Modi, he is an inward-looking person. His focus of affairs is towards inside India, and that's one reason I again feel I see that where are we went wrong in Opsindu. What we did on 6th and 7th had international ramifications. We continued our information towards our domestic audience. We were trying to satisfy our domestic audience that the terror hubs have been silenced. And it is not that it happened out of the blue. These terror hubs were in our crosshair for years to come. We were trying to find ways and means to hit Bahawalpur and Muridke for at least, if nothing less, a decade plus. It is not that something happened out of the blue. The problem with the current state of thing is we are a little stretched out with China and still not resolved in the northern borders. Possibly we didn't want to open another border in the east with Bangladesh, and we were hoping like hell that this guy will fail on his own and Sheikh Hasina will be able to go back and take control of the situation there. I feel we played a waiting game in Bangladesh, possibly because of two things. One is the Prime Minister's personal look not to interfere into internal affairs of neighboring nations. And secondly, possibly we were a little too stretched and not possibly wanting to get into another turmoil in the East. That having said, I don't think it's currently possible to possibly carry out any major operation of that nature. And possibly we will continue to hope like hell that this gentleman fails on his own and the Bangladesh gets back to democracy and Sheikh Hasina goes back. So that's a totally different equation which I look at when I look at Bangladesh.
Thank you so much, sir. General Ravi Shankar, I come back to what you said. You mentioned make a statement about Shaksgam Valley and Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. I would also have added Ghostana to it. So
that's with China. We're talking of Pakistan.
No. You mentioned about border talks, right? In the border talks statement. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah.
So, sir, what I'm going to tell viewers what is the ground status in Bangladesh. That Swami Chinmay Das is continuing to be in prison, and the atrocities against Hindus who are scattered all over Bangladesh continue. At the last record, I have seen 350 girls from the age of puberty to 24, 25, not married, have been abducted from various places. Nobody knows where they are. I mean, if India is talking to the army of Bangladesh, the least the army of Bangladesh, for having saved that fellow's ass twice, at least liberated these girls, General Ravi Shankar. Tell me, what has the Bangladesh army boss done for India?
Look, don't get emotional about Bangladesh. What's happening in Bangladesh is with the Bangladeshi citizens. We had no locus standi with what happened in Bangladesh last year. And we have not had any locus standi from then to now. You have a government which is virtually, what shall I say? I won't aggressively against you. And you have a chap who's completely against you. His DNA is against India. And he's got the power. What do? You cut out his rice, you've done that. You cut out all his exports, you've done that. Actually, short of going to war, you've done everything. So would you like to go to war? Especially when you have better things to do than handle Bangladesh. Bangladesh, you circled it and kept it and left it. Okay, now, the fact that Bangladesh, what shall I say, that we missed Bangladesh, we missed many things. And many people miss many things in this kind of events, right? And somehow that was a failure, we recognize it. That's happened, that's gone. There's no point looking over the shoulder at that point of time. But what do you do ahead? That's the point I would like to think of with Bangladesh. What do we do? We have to also understand USA is today actively there. They are carrying out exercises with the US The Bangladesh Army, US Army and the Bangladesh Army are carrying out exercises at Chittagong, right? This Waqar-uz-Zaman has gone to Doha, Qatar, 6 months back, met with the Central Command commander. The deputy force commander of India PACOM has come here, visited. There's some understanding happening and they're there. Okay. Now there's a change of scene as far as USA is concerned. USA is not there for anything, but now it is very clear why USA wanted Bangladesh. Because they came to us first. You see, 8 months before Bangladesh coup takes place, is Donald Lu and that other woman, I'm forgetting her name.
Victoria Nuland. Victoria Nuland.
Newland. Both came to India. They came to India. They went to Bangladesh also, incidentally. They came to Bangladesh. In fact, they went to Bangladesh, came to India, discussed everything, and went back. 8 months later, this coup takes place. And my sense is you have to link it to one thing called rare earths. This whole story is linked with rare earths. Okay, all this has started in 23. That is the time, and when they came here, their focus was not Bangladesh. Their focus was Myanmar. And that is the time when rare earths in exploitation in Myanmar started going geometrically high. That is the time when Xi Jinping came out with this theory of new productive forces. The new productive forces were all about getting, rare earth metals and magnets, their technology and all. Where did that rare earths come from? They came from Myanmar. If you see the export of rare earths from Myanmar to China, at that time it has gone up by 8 times. There's a spike. And that 3 months later, Xi Jinping announces high productive forces, new energy vehicles, this, that, all that nonsense. And he clamps down on the rare earth industry. See, right? And that's all smuggled. There's a lot of other issues. I've done a full show on this. They wanted to go there. They came to us. We said, sorry, we can't do it because as it is, by then, we'd made the mistake of putting Manipur in a mess. And that was the time when the drugs were, the drug deal, or rather the poppy culture in Afghanistan had stopped and had come to Myanmar, right? And the whole lot, our entire Northeast was in a mess and shambles. We couldn't accept that. So these chaps went to spoke to Sheikh Hasina. She also didn't accept. So what next? Coup. And that they've not got the rare earths, but they've got the cooperation with Bangladesh today. So the point is that, before we say that Mr. Modi did wrong and what we should have done, we should have gone into Bangladesh and taken on a war. We should understand our Northeast was completely destabilized. Your Myanmar and Manipur was in a problem. Your Mizoram was affected by the refugees coming out of Myanmar civil war. So it's not so simple. And I personally felt we should not go into Bangladesh. Let Bangladesh stew in its own juices. You can do what you can do. Okay. And we did it. So you have to be patient with Bangladesh. And why should you spend your time with Bangladesh when you have better things to do? So I have a different view on Bangladesh completely. I think our government did the right thing with Bangladesh. I mean, we lost Bangladesh where it went in and we couldn't support Sheikh Hasina. That was something which we were blindsided. And a lot of people whom I've spoken to felt blindsided. People who were experts in Bangladesh realized that they were blindsided at that point of time. But having done that, after that, we've done okay. We've handled the situation well. And even now, the Americans are going in, it's that humanitarian corridor and all that they're doing. Let them do. Why? It doesn't affect us. And our Northeast has got stabilized, I think, which is more important than going into Bangladesh to save Hindus there. Right? And we've expressed what we had to do against them diplomatically. Short of going to war, your anger won't be satisfied. And India will not. No, wait. Let's be clear. And India won't go to war for that. That's the fundamental position. You have to, I mean, you have to, right? That's how it is. That's the reality. Yeah.
It's okay. I was going to say something, but I'm going to hold back for a second. I would like General Harimohan Iyer's inputs on what could have been done differently, because seeing India do nothing, US quietly went and occupied St. Martin's Island. They still are in control of that. India thought that Arakan army was going to do something. Looks like US has also done a deal with them. Looks like. I could be wrong about it. Your thoughts on what General Ravi Shankar said? Sir, I'll come back to you, General Ravi Shankar, with my questions right after you hear from General Harimohan Iyer.
Firstly, about what has happened and how many Americans have come into Bangladesh is irrelevant. I consider it irrelevant because the numbers are too less. It's something which is being speculated that they have taken over St. Martin Island. Yes,
No,
they
no,
they are present there. It's okay. That doesn't mean they're taken over. That's one. Second issue is you don't want to create a new front by expanding towards Chittagong and Mizoram and that side. It is a huge. Have you seen the kind of logistics that flow in towards the northeast? It is throwing us through a very small corridor called the Siliguri corridor, which is 40 kilometers wide. When this whole thing was happening in Bangladesh, social media was abuzz saying that, this is the right time for us to cut off, expand our Siliguri corridor and all that. All this would have given an excuse to the Americans to come into Bangladesh in bigger numbers, possibly justify their presence there. Today, they can't justify their presence, whatever numbers they are. I believe it's up to a battalion level, and they, like General Shankar said, they are calling it an exercise with Bangladesh Army. I don't know what exercise Americans have to do with Bangladesh, which is I won't even call it a third world country, it's a fourth world country. And what kind of exercise they want to do. Because Bangladesh cannot support America with whatever endeavors they have with China. And like General Shankar says, possibly America in the previous administration's time was keenly looking at India to be the outpost, which we don't want to be. Why should you fight somebody else's war? We want to have our own security dynamics to be looked at. And if tomorrow India and China are able to resolve the border issues, which in my mind, if I recollect in your own channel, I said it is not a very difficult thing to do, because the tract of land we are talking about is not very value land. There's no rare earth, there's nothing so valuable like our ex-Prime Minister Nehru said, not even a blade of grass grows there. So I've been there in those terrain. It's like, holding on to ground which has got no value. I won't even call it strategic value there. We are just sitting there. So in my mind, in coming days, who knows if the Russia, India, China axis, as is being expected, needs to be the counterweight to the Americans. Who knows? Possibly there could be a border issue sorted out with China or put again on the cold side for a period of time. After all, we are their largest trading partner. And why should we get involved in a war for the Americans? Like they will want us to be part of Ukraine war. In fact, I have been saying that. I had an interaction with the PACOM commander when he came to visit us in Northern Command, and he was goading us that India should take a firm step and be part of the Western alliance against Russia. Why the hell should we? We have our hands full both on our eastern and western borders. Why the hell should we get into somebody else's war? It is in our own interest that we maintain cordial relations, and I'm very sure that Bangladesh will get sorted out on its own. Like General Shankar says, currently all what we could do, we have cut it off. This trade through Nepal has been cut off. His trade through Calcutta has been cut off. He is literally boxed in, and economically he is not as good as he was. The entire business that he's lost has been gained by us. So in a larger sense, we have drained him out, and I guess that is the kind of thing I would prefer even with Pakistan. Again, what General Shankar said, I also maintained the same thing. After cutting off Indus Water Treaty, we had him, we could have squeezed him out. I can't use those words, but we had him by that. And we need not have done Op Sindoor at all. We had him, we could have pushed him till November, December, he would have fallen on his own. By now, Munir would have been taken care of. Like I said, one of his security guard would have shot him by now, and there would have been civil war in Pakistan. Pakistan would have possibly broken up into 5 or 6 fragments by now. And I feel if I was to look at what happened in those 10 days, that possibly was what the government was trying to do. But it was actually pushed into this operation by our opposition party.
Emotions. There was more of emotional response than hard-headed military thinking, right? The situation spun out that way. The emotion created by, yeah, we should have done something, that's a given. I mean, could we have done something better? Yes.
Later, we could have done
Then,
it a little later. We could have done it at a time when we could have done.
right. And the next thing is, look, a lot of these issues are hindsight. Hindsight, everything looks better. At that point of time, the decision you have taken is the more important thing. And that decision you took at that point of time is appropriate. I mean, there's no point. I would not like to think my Prime Minister did the wrong thing. He did the right thing. Could he have done a better thing? Yes, that's a different story, right? But then the guy who has to take a decision, the decision is his. The answerability is his. And another way of looking at it, has Pakistan might be where it is. And it might have been it might be in Trump's lap, all that. That's a different story. But has India lost? In fact, India is now coming out as a power of its own because of events. People are recognizing India. I mean, 6 months back, I couldn't have thought that Zelensky will support India taking oil from Russia, which is done day before yesterday. Has it not done? There's a clip. There's a clip today which is there. I saw in this thing where he said, no, we can talk of Russia, we can talk of Europe not taking oil from Russia, but not India. India, it's okay. We need India. Why is the Finland?
That's because we are supplying diesel to him, sir. That's because we are supplying diesel to him.
No. See, CRG, the point I'm trying to make is these things wouldn't have happened or come to light but for the way we handled Pakistan. That's the point I'm trying to put across. China won't be behaving with you this way. You see, the indirect effect, which I've spoke there also, it will not be with Pakistan. The indirect effect is one in China. Please understand, today China does not talk of any more militarily. If you see writings coming out of China, they don't say we will go and attack India anymore. We will teach India. Lesson is gone. They're learning lessons. Please understand. See, it's easy to. I mean, I will also criticize because that was my view, strong view. But at the same time, I need to also understand what are the outcomes of the Sindhu. China today doesn't talk of any more military action against India. Today, China has gone into a defensive mode on the LAC. That is what their Mandarin papers come out with. देखो at times ना छोटे कुत्ते को मारोगे तो बड़ा कुत्ता सीधा हो जाता है. That's the law of life. So that has happened. If you see the writings which have come out of East Asia, people have said, look, India has the capability of handling China and Pakistan. Why has the Philippines? I keep quoting this. Why has the Philippines president come to India? Why has India gone and done, a naval exercise in South China Sea, which no other country has done with Philippines? So we are, what has happened in Pakistan. If you look at it from a Pak-centric manner, you think Munir has won everything. But if you step back, today there is a lot of voices within America who are telling Trump, don't be a fool, get back to US, India. And you listen to Nicholas Burns. Nicholas Burns was the director of CIA. He was also the ambassador to China. You hear him. I still have his thing with me somewhere. He says, look, when you compare India and China, it's like comparing a hare and a tortoise. The hare has gone ahead, but the tortoise will be there. Such statements you couldn't have imagined 1 month, 6 months back, or 8 months back. People, because these things were not on the table. All these things have come on the table. Suddenly, you are indispensable to EU. EU has gone against America and said, no, we're going to India and doing what we want to do with them. Quad has come. I was having a discussion with the Australian YouTube. He says, look, we feel lost without India in this Quad. Because we have no choice but to listen to whatever USA says. But with India around, we felt safe. So there are a lot of other things which have come out. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. We are running out of time. I'm just going to have a couple of questions addressed to you, and then we'll wrap this thing up. First question can we have questions, please? You have a couple, or we? Yeah. Thank you so much, Ajit Kumar. I heard our artillery, guns, and army also had a role in Sindoor. Not much details. Could you elaborate if you know? Thanks. To both of you. Let's start with General Harimohan Iyer.
Guns were opened the moment the ceasefire in the line of control was taken out. The guns opened, and a huge amount of casualties happened on the Pakistan army. We do not target civilian areas, so we targeted the Pakistan army. And if you see the Independence Day gallantry awards, a large number of artillery officers have been awarded for Op Sindoor. In fact, the officer has been awarded with a Veer Chakra, which is a very high honor for an operation of this nature. So artillery was a major role, and also want to specify that out of the 9 targets which were taken out, 7 were engaged by Indian artillery using various weapons, which I'd like to hold back on. What weapons we use, I'd like to stay quiet on, but it's there in some more form in the media. I'd not like to specify, but it was the Indian artillery which was handling those weapons, and also the guns and missiles. Thank you.
General Shankar, would you like to add to that, or shall we go to the next question?
No, what he said is right. And the army played a huge role. You see, the army role didn't come out in public because we hammered them. There was no controversy in that. The unfortunate controversy came with the air battle. Well, that's part of battle. These things happen.
Next one, please. Arunachal Mudgarkar wants to know, the whole thing is turned around after America, not Pakistan, got into bed with Pakistan. What is the trigger? General Ravi Shankar.
There are a lot of triggers in this. There are a lot of triggers on this. It starts with the Nobel Prize. It starts with Noorkan Air Base. It starts with Kiranas. It starts with, what's that?
Jacobabad.
Possibly F-16 also. Possibly some F-16.
F-16s also. So take a they had no choice but to get into a bed. So, look, that's another positive thing. Please understand. When we are talking of Asim Munir, if you focus on Munir and his idiocy, you'll see the smaller picture. But if you step back and see, you'll see the bigger picture where India has gained. America and China have suddenly come to know that they'll get a solid hammering if they try anything. And here comes a new armed force which has fought a modern war and spanked 12 airfields of Pakistan. It's not simple. It's not a simple thing which everyone has come to know. It's not. The outcomes for this are tremendous. Believe you me, it's beyond Munir. Yeah, that Munir part, yes, I'm critical about the whole thing here, but we could have got better results and all. But otherwise, what our Air Force has done, Navy has done, in fact, what our Prime Minister has done is fantastic. Hats off to him. I mean, I have no doubts about that. Yeah.
General Harimohan Iyer, would you like to add to that, sir?
We used supersonic long-range missiles, which normally will say that, it is escalating taking the conflict to a ladder which is not acceptable. And we managed to prove a point. Pinpoint strikes. I'll not get into Kirana Hills and other assets, but we did demonstrate to the world that yes, if we only used, I believe, 24 or 26 of our assets, and we have plenty. Possibly, like General Shankar says, the strikes were happening in Pakistan, but the bells were ringing in China. So that part there's no denial of the fact. Like I said, the only thing we possibly stayed a little low was the way we communicated. Possibly we were wrong in the first 2 days, and by the time we could start communicating, the White House was already going, with loudspeakers to say that Nobel Prize was coming. So that to that extent, I would say we have demonstrated to the world what Indian armed forces are capable of, and also demonstrated that we have a government which does not hesitate in taking decisions which could have very huge ramifications. So that is something which has come out loud and clear.
Both generals, I don't know if you have read Tom Clancy. Not the new ones where his name is now being franchised and shit all people are writing about it, but the original Tom Clancy. If you read up all his books are all elaborate, theater and settings. Something happens somewhere in the world, something happens somewhere else in the world, and finally he'll bring them all together. But wherever in his books, it's fictional, but it is believed that a lot of truth is there. Wherever it has involved Indian, whether it is the Navy or the Army or the Air Force, it comes out as being a very professionally run organization. I'm talking about 30, 40 years ago when Tom Clancy was his prime. The man was a schoolmaster. He went on to become a great storyteller. So as far as the professionalism of the Indian Army is concerned, I think there has been no doubt about it. And I think we'll leave it at that some people have learned their lessons. Unfortunately, we are talking about the impact of what happened on the common man's psyche. We are going into this with one hand tied behind the back is all I'd like to say, because we can go on and get emotional about it also. Next question, please. Some connectivity issues. Saurabh, thank you so much. India has achieved its stated objective in Op Sindoor, but Munir is achieving everything for himself. India has foresight and focus on long-term gains. Your view, sir. General Harimohan.
No, I go by the fact that I never say that Op Sindoor was not needed. I am very much in favor of an operation like Op Sindoor. I would have liked Op Sindoor to have aim beyond what possibly it did. And as General Shankar also mentioned, there was an opportunity to create much more dividends out of Op Sindoor, possibly a little later with some more squeeze into Pakistan, because both economically and politically and all other fronts, Pakistan was in the corner, and that was possibly an opportunity to continue the pressure. And that is, and it was a time when there was no political gains. Actually, there were no elections. There was no political issue behind it other than a bit of taunt which came, and that's why I use that word. Very clearly, cleverly articulated. Modi ko jaake batao. He fingered somebody and possibly antagonized a large number of political issues. To that extent, possibly we could have been a little like General Shankar says, fixed an aim, kept putting pressure on them. Who knows? There would have been no Pakistan to deal with. The army would have got discredited on its own. To that extent, yes, but Munir has become relevant in Pakistan. His army has become more relevant in Pakistan. These are no deniable facts. And the Pakistan political arena has become an issue of joke. There's no democracy or politics left in Pakistan as it stands. It is a dictatorship which is being done by remote, and it is going to stay like Musharraf for a period of time, because now he's got the money and now he's got possibly the support from the White House to some extent. So we will see Munir being there for a period of time.
Would you like to add to that, sir? This is the last question.
Now, I think what Saurabh says is right. Munir is achieving everything for himself, and India has done more for India and all that. Look, a lot of things could have happened differently, but I think what's happened is there's no point looking back. That's the way I look at it. You look back on it, you'll see nothing. And life has to be lived forward, not backwards. So,
Thank you so much, sir. There's a lot that I can tell, but I think I need to hold myself back because people have come to listen to you and General Harimohan.
no, there's no harm.
So I'm going to stop there. It's okay, sir. Sometimes what happens is you don't want the emotions to get the better of you. I feel bad because somehow anyway, let it go. Thank you so much, sir. And viewers will be back in about 25 minutes with Rajiv Malhotra. And I made one mistake. On May 10th, it was General Rajiv Narayanan and not General Rajiv Malhotra. I made a mistake. Papa, apologies for that. But you all know what I meant. So thank you once again, Generals. We'll be back again very soon with these two and another surprise edition. We'll keep you tuned. Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Please stay back for a second, sir. Please stay back for a second.